Hi there, and welcome to a look under the hood of Audacity, which is an audio program which I think you're going to get a lot out of if you want to work in things like podcasts and doing voiceovers for things like your Canva graphics and videos you want to put up on social media. Now, first of all, I want to maybe just get my screen share just right. I'm Dante St. James. I'll be taking you through this very much under the hood look as we go right inside what this feels like and how it works. We want to see basically how you can build your own audio, edit your own audio, and then use your own audio later on to do some amazing things with. So I'm just going to share my screen in just a second. Once I get this all set up right, it's not quite going the way I was hoping that it would go. Let me just go back to the beginning and share my screen I'll give you a countdown, even if that helps, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So as we take a look under the hood of Audacity, I want you to take a look at a quote that kind of came up with myself, and I'm sure someone said this before. People will forgive you when your visuals aren't quite right, but bad audio is completely unbearable. And visuals, you can't quite see what they're saying or what they're doing, doesn't quite add up. It's not so bad. But when you got those bad audio, when the audio is like doing all those sounds and making all that distortion, you can't forgive that. It makes the whole thing completely unusable and unlistenable and unviewable as well. In this particular segment today, we're going to look at what Audacity is. We're going to look at recording into Audacity. Then we're going to look at editing and some of the things you can do, particularly with voice. And then we're going to look at multi-track audio so that we can take multiple things and glue them together as ways of being able to, I guess, present multiple tracks that allow us to have music, video, voiceover, not video, but music, audio, and other sources such as your voice coming in as well. This is brought to you today by Business Station and the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program. It's an initiative of the Australian government brought to you by Business Station in WA, Regional Development Australia, Brisbane and Queensland, and Treaty Business Consulting in the Northern Territory. You'll be able to see this later on today on YouTube through the Business Station and my own Dante St. James channel as well. And if you happen to be over on YouTube right now watching this, I really love you to subscribe and hit the bell so you can see when new things are coming through on my channel or Business Stations. I've got about nearly 100 videos over there of my own, and Business Station has even more from lots of different presenters aside from me. So give it a go. Hop in there, subscribe, see what comes through, and you might be surprised. It could be a lesson made just for you. Background on myself, I graduated from the University of New South Wales in Sydney in marketing and business information systems. I've done a bunch of the Chartered Institute of Marketing modules as well, the certificates, graduate certificates, diplomas, all that sort of thing, and done a few TAFE New South Wales courses as well, just to keep my skills nice and sharp. I work with Facebook's Community Trainer Australia program, as well as being globally certified by Facebook through their Blueprint Lead Trainer program. I'm also globally certified as a Facebook Digital Marketing Associate and Media Planning, Buying and Creative Strategy Professional. Worked with Google's Digital Springboard program and the Be Connected ASBAS Digital Solutions and New Business Assistance with niche programs for the Australian government. But there's another part of my life back when I was in the radio networks and in television where I was working in audio and video quite heavily for Grant Broadcasters, Southern Cross Stereo. Did some time on Nova 937 in Perth back in about 2008, a bit of a long time ago. Hot 100 FM, Mix 1049 FM, 7HO FM in Hobart, and Juice 107.3 on the Gold Coast. So I've done quite a lot of work with audio, not just as a presenter, but as a producer as well, having to produce our own little segments we had to do, because you couldn't always rely on a producer because not all stations have producers. So let's look under the hood at what Audacity is, what it does, how to create audio, and how to use multi-tracking to make much, much better audio there. I'm just going to unshare this screen, and I'm going to share now the window that actually has Audacity in it. Now, Audacity is a program that works in waveforms. So I'm just going to share this through. Now, what I might do first, though, is find out where you get Audacity from. I think that's probably important because you need to know where to download it from. So if you're looking for Audacity online, you go to audacity.com Now I just got to find the right screen. Sorry, I'm working on very unfamiliar screens here that keep closing down on me. So it won't be 1 second to get that back up and running. So what we're working with is Audacity, and you can find that just by Googling it. So it's like it literally spelling the word Audacity, Audacity, and then search for it online. I'll just share my screen so you can see exactly what I'm doing there. Once I find all the pieces that I need to get in there and share, let me share that screen. Sorry, this is taking so long. It shouldn't really take this long. There we go. So when I go and Google it, I see that Audacity is here. So I'm looking for the free open source cross-platform audio software. Now it's really simple to use, probably a little simpler than most of the commercial products that allow you to do this. And for me, it's a lot more logical than using something like, for instance, iMovie and GarageBand and a lot of the different audio editors you get for free using Windows or Macintosh or any of those areas. I think that Audacity gives you a much easier way of being able to visually work with the audio you've got, as well as hearing it through audio as well. And it's available on Mac, Windows, Linux as well, depending on what you use, probably Windows, and a few of you using Mac. And it's available also for the M1 Max. So if you're using one of those brand new Apple Silicon Macs, the ones that are super, super fast and really good. In fact, I'm using one here today that I'm actually broadcasting this on. So it definitely works with the M1 range of Macintosh computers as well. So it is fairly easy to use. You go and download the versions for you. So if I look down for Mac, or you look at Windows, let me go for Mac for mine. It says that you use the most recent one. It gives you a whole lot of checksum and all that sort of information. All you basically want to do is go to this page because it already opens up that download, as you see in the bottom left-hand corner. So I've already got it actually installed on my computer. So if I go to open up what it is now, you'll be able to see it. Let's just see, turn off my video, and so I can have a bit more room on the screen, because you really do need to see everything that's going on to understand how to use Audacity. Now, I have got it open already somewhere. Here we go. Now, I'll just quickly share my screen to make sure you can actually see that, because at the moment, I think you can only see what I'm doing on Google. So if I go over to Audacity, you'll now see on your screen a blank gray window. Very uninspiring, I know. But in this particular window, what you'll be looking at is where you'll create your new tracks. So let's, for instance, let's have a look around what we can do in this particular window. Now, first of all, what you need to understand is the controls on the top left, the pause, the play, and all that are for audio that's already there. But the record is for creating audio through your microphone. So if you're through your microphone on a computer, or a microphone you've got externally connected, like the one I've got that I had to pick up yesterday because my last one broke. I go through lots of microphones every year, just in case you're wondering. Now, just direct below that, you've got what is called core audio. You've got the crisp microphone. So what I've done, I've selected the particular microphone I'm using. So I can use the microphone built into my MacBook Pro. I can use this Thron Max Pulse microphone, which is where my audio is going through. But I've got a special plugin that I use called Crisp. And Crisp allows me to remove the noise of the air conditioner in the background, all the echo that's going on in the background as well, and the birds singing outside and the trucks going by on the highway, which is about 50 meters in that direction. You won't hear any of that coming through, and allows me to do voiceover work, which is much more clear and crisp, hence the name, so that it doesn't have all that sort of background hum and noise in it. Then you can have a mono recording, or you can have a stereo recording. That's the opposite of mono. Yes, that's right. Now, for voices, you don't really need to have a stereo recording unless you're wanting to have some sort of effect where you're having voice going from left to right and coming back to the center in that kind of way. And then you have the speakers that you can select where you want to put that sound out when you're listening back to it. So I just have it going through my speakers on my little MacBook Pro, but you may have yours going out to external speakers or to Bluetooth speakers that you've got set up in your home studio or in your home office. So if I want to do all this now, I go, well, I don't want mono, I want stereo. You can actually go to File and then create a new track. So if I go to Show Tracks, Add New, I can add a stereo track. And that then places this two-sided track, a left and a right there ready for me to be able to use. So previously, I only had a mono track and no track in there at all. In fact, I had to actually create the track in there. So if I take that out and I just go to record, it's going to default to creating a mono recording track. So if I do this, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you'll see that it created just a mono track for me. If I want to take that out and not save it, I want to go to tracks and add a new stereo track. If I record that now, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, here we go. And it's created a new mono in there because that is the default. So I want to get rid of that one and I want to record in this one. I need to actually activate it and go into it. So in here, as I place myself in here, I can then start to record in it, which is not the way, of course, that it wants to work at all. It only wants to use a mono recording channel because I don't have two microphones going in. So let's just try and record that. Hello, my name is Dante and James. I'm creating a voice track here that I'm going to change and make different changes to. And there's a reason why I did those noises to make sure that this comes out the clearest and most possibly even kind of audio there is. So as I've recorded this, you can see across there that it starts off very loud at the beginning and sort of goes down, and those little clicks there, a lot of that sort of stuff highlighted there, that is taken care of by Crisp, which you notice I did about 5 different sounds. It only picked up 2 and vaguely picked up a 3rd. That's because Crisp looks at those sounds as not coming from my voice, but as coming from something else. So that's something to watch when you're using pre-processing. I was just going for the word. What is it? Pre-processing to handle the voice going into Audacity. Now, where you might use all this, and this is probably what you need to know before you go too deeply into it, is that you're going to use Audacity to record things like podcasts, voiceovers for videos that you're using on social media. It may even be for radio ads and TV ads. This will output a format that is suitable for those. Radio, mostly for ads these days, is using waveform audio. Television can use MP3, wave, whatever you want to use. It manages to handle all those different audio formats, because once you output the TV, video, and audio, it compresses everything into the right format to be able to go onto television successfully anyway. So if I play all this back, you'll actually be able to hear this hopefully through the microphone. Hello, my name is Dante and James. I'm creating a voice track here that I'm going to change and make different changes to. And there's a reason why I did those noises, to make sure that this comes out the clearest and most possibly even kind of audio there is. So right throughout that, you don't really hear much of a difference in terms of how noisy or how loud and soft it is, but you can actually see in the waveform here, and this is what this is called, that there is like a really strong start there, and it sort of evens out and gets less and less. And to the end, it kind of trails right off altogether. So what I want to do is make that a lot more even. So to me, it's sounding like it sounds okay, but I want to make it sound a lot more even and to fill up more space on that spectrum. So to do that, I might just cut out those clicks. And this is how you cut things out. So I can look at cutting out the clicks by highlighting them and just hitting delete or backspace, depending on what it is on your keyboard. If I want to reverse that, Control Z or Command Z, depending on what you're using, and that will do that as well. And then what I can do is also, if I want to get in a bit closer to see what those are, if you've got a trackpad that does zoom in and zoom out, you can actually go into that and then start zooming into it and see how it's actually getting closer and closer into those sounds. So I can now highlight them and play them. So it just says that click, click. You may not have heard that on the microphone. What that does is allows me to then go, okay, cut that out and keep everything around it still nice and visual there. Then when I want to go back out again, I just pinch zoom again, pinch in, and that then takes me out to the whole area. So I can get that out. So I get to a size that I'm happy to work with. So once I'm in here as well, you can also use the magnifying glass plus and minus buttons here to do exactly that same thing. So we're going to go in a bit closer. I'm going to go a bit further out. We're going to go closer. I'm going to highlight a bit that I want to go into, and then focuses on that bit and brings it to the middle. So I can then see that waveform and know that that's one particular word, and make, and my 2 words, so, and make, and make. And then I can then zoom right out again, and I can see much more of that waveform again in its whole entirety. Now, once I'm out here, I'm looking at going, okay, what can I do with this? Is there something else I can do with this apart from just leaving it there? And there's a lot of effects you can put onto anything. So let's just take these 2 words here, different different. So that's one word. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to highlight this and use what we call effects. Over here in the effects, we've got things like amplify. You've got the ability to change the pitch and the speed. That's really useful for TV and radio ads when they go a bit too long and you have to speed them up a little bit just to fit them into the 29 seconds or the 14 seconds. You can use a compressor, which allows you to make all the sound thicker. You can use distortion, echo. You can fade in and fade out different parts of your sound. You can even use graphic equalizers, although I must admit I never use them because I don't quite go into that kind of area where I need that so much. There's things like noise reduction. If you've got some background noise you want to reduce, it helps you to do that. Normalizing brings it all to one sort of consistent level. And then you can have things like, reversing it, reverb, and lots of different sound effects like delays, echoes, crossfades, all that kind of thing. So let's just say that I want to use a reverb on the word different. And it lets me go, okay, what is it I actually want to do in here? I can then preview it. So the room size is about 75%. So let's go preview what it's going to sound like. Different. So it's very, very short. So you may not actually capture that quite that clearly. Different. So it's very, very, very echoey in there. Now, it might help if I go back and highlight a bigger area so you can actually hear that a lot easier. So let's just take that area there. I'm going to go effect and I'm going to generate some reverb. So this is making the room 75% of room size. It's saying damp it, tone it, high, wet gain, dry gain, the stereo width. Let's see what that sounds like at the default. Changes too, and there's a reason why I did those noises. So that's very, very different to the basic room sound that I made. Now I can then reduce the size of the room down and make it a bit more flat. Changes too, and there's a reason why I did those noises. So there's still some reverberation in there, but it's nowhere near as bad as what it was. Now let's confirm that. Let's just compare that with what it naturally sounds like. Changes too, and there's a reason why I did those noises. So there's no background sound that's saying to me that, oh yeah, this is the kind of thing that's, this sounds like it's being processed. That just sounds like it's playing every day. And that's what we wanted to do. So not only is there stuff where you can use, things like reverb, you can use things like phasers, which actually puts like that sort of very electronic futuristic sound on it. So in the most, I guess, default setting, let's apply that and hear what it sounds like. Now it's going to take it down straight away. So let's have a look. Changes too, and there's a reason why I did those noises. So what it does, it sort of phases the sound in a virtual going across a stereo spectrum from left to right. Even though there's no left and right, it creates something that sounds kind of like that. So it's phasing in from one over to another and then back again. So that's not really the effect I want. So I'm going to take that off. What I'm looking for though is to try and even all of this out. So if I'm evening it all out, I want to take the whole waveform and I want to use an effect called compression. So compressor here. In the compressor, there's usually a bunch of presets that would help you out with this. So I can look at this and go, in this basic preview, I can look at this and go, hello, my name is Dante and James. I'm creating a voice track here that I'm going to change and make different. So that's made it really, really loud. And that's what it does. Now, if you watch this waveform as I do this, so let's just go, okay. Look how it made it. It amplified everything and made the center of everything really thick and really loud. So what it's done is sort of taken what was originally there, which is the light blue you can see, and made it much more thick, loud, and all that. So even though the volume hasn't gone up hugely, it sounds much louder than it is because of that compression. If I go backwards on that, we can see what it originally looked like. So very, very different, a lot less in there, a lot less thick, and a lot less consistent as well. When we do that effect again, if I just redo that, you can see that a lot of this is all very consistent along here. There's not really a lot going on except for the very beginning where it comes in. Whereas in here, there's a lot more up and down going on. So if I want to take a look at some of the compression that will work mainly for things like voiceovers, I want to make it sound really good for things like radio. I might want to take that first bit there and maybe take down the volume of that because it's a fair way above the rest of it. So if I want to take that and take it down a bit, I can go to Effect and I can take the amplify. Now that may sound crazy because I don't want to amplify. I want to, if anything, de-amplify, but it's the same setting. If I go to amplify, it says, okay, you want to have it at, this is what it is normally. You want to take it down a bit. So we want to de-amplify it maybe by 6 decibels. So I'm going to go -6. And see how that's brought that right down now. By going tight, that's now the same level of everything else. So you don't get that sudden, very strong. Hello, my name is Dante St. James. I'm creating so it's no longer anywhere near as loud. It's taken down that volume a great deal, making everything a lot more even, I suppose, when you look at the waveform. Now, going to that waveform again, if I stretch it across, then I can look at other effects such as echoes if I want to add them. That's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is sort of look at, I guess, plugging an effect that's going to make it seem like it's a little bit louder and more consistent, but goes across and doesn't sound silly. Now, there's a lot of different settings on other systems like Adobe Audition, which has what they call maybe a voiceover compression. So it's got a default setting for voiceovers for things like radio. That's where it's a little bit different between Audacity and the others. So I can take an effect and it won't necessarily have those presets that I have in there. So if we look at some of these, and we can say, okay, if I want to put certain things through it, do I want to fade out? No. Vocal reduction and isolation. Well, we can see what that is and preview it. It only works in stereo, so that one won't work. So this is where you remove vocals, or you try to remove the vocals, or you isolate the vocals and actually bring them out of a pre-existing track. Now, it's very hit and miss when you do that. You take a song, for instance, and you want to take out the vocals. Songs and music are very complex and complicated. So that's going to be a lot harder to do. So doing that sort of stuff probably won't work so well. Remember, this is free software, so it's not necessarily going to deliver everything you want it to deliver. But if we look at things like click removal, now remember when I had those clicks in there. So let's go back and put that back in. Undo the track remove. So you want to see my clicks, undo. No, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to have to re-record that because I just deleted everything I had. So in that recording, if I record it again, hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to click and make those sounds because I want to remove them and take them out of here as an example. So as you can see, it's like fairly good, but you can definitely see those clicks through there. So what I'm going to do is highlight that. I'm going to go and look for the click removal. So click removal, let's see if it takes it away. So it's going to preview it. So let's see what it does. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to click and make those sounds because I want to remove them. So it did try to do that, but it really didn't do that great. So what I'm going to do is take that down a bit further. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to click and make those sounds because I want to remove them. So those clicks are really bad. The clicks that we want to remove are more like the clicks on the letter C. So when we go k, the k sound often comes out on microphones as quite distorted and a little bit too loud. And that's what the click removal is for. Now, what I would want to do in there, I could just take those and delete them like that and they'd be removed. But let's just say I want to now this is all looking fairly even-ish. I want to sort of go and get my compressor and maybe make it a little bit louder, maybe just take that threshold down a little bit more. Let's preview it. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to click and make those sounds because I want to remove them and take. So that doesn't sound too bad. I like the sound of that. There's not too much attack in it, which is what you get when it's really loud and peaky. So now I've got, look, it looks fairly even across there, but this part here seems quite a bit lower. So what I might do is actually raise that up in the amplify just to even it up a little bit. I'm going to add 3 decibels of amplification. There you go. Now it's up there amongst the rest of it. So it looks a lot more even. And trust me, that's going to make a big difference when it comes to how it sounds. Now, it's very hard to put this through the microphone because it's not going to come across on this Zoom call particularly great or on this YouTube call. But you can actually see when I zoom in, I've got quite a bit of noise in the background right there. There's some background noise. And just between there and there, you can see little blips of background noise as well. Now, those sort of things do come out. So if I play this back, hopefully you'll hear it. That's actually a breath that I'm taking there. It might be the same here. That's definitely a breath, a very juicy sounding breath as well. What I can do if I want to remove that but keep that space in there, I can either delete it like that, or I can use silence. So I can generate silence over that. So what it's going to do, it's going to take what this length of time that I've connected there and say, okay, you want to turn that amount of time into silence. And see, it just completely removes all those blips in there. So if I play it back, there's no longer a breath. Hi, my name's... And that's what we call de-breathing in a lot of audio production. You want to remove the breaths, you go, okay, let's take that out. Rather than taking out the time, you still want that natural pause. You just don't want the breathy sounding, me wheezing and being a very bad voiceover. I just want to go generate and then silence, and that will take that out. Likewise, you can generate some other things as well. So for instance, one of those special effects of generating something like static noise. You've got some noise here, you can have white noise, so you can preview it. So it's very, very harsh. So put that in, a very, very harsh white noise. It's often used as a breaker between certain things and other things. So that I wouldn't recommend you use too much of it. So let's generate some silence back in there. So that's nice and calm all over again. Now we've worked with this sort of stuff. We can add things like echo. So I'm going to add in click, click, and make those sounds. So the click, click, maybe what I want to do is put the same gap in between click, click, so I can have a bit of a play with it. So I can take a gap here and then copy it with Control C or Command C, and then go in and Control V or Command V. And that creates that equal gap in between them all. So you can take slices of different things. So if I can take click, 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 and then duplicate that down here again, but I want to make it so that it's actually all this space plus a bit more space again. I can highlight it, copy it, Control C, Control V, or right clicking and take that the copy. Then I can go to the end of that and paste it in. So now I've got two lots of click, click. So if I look at that now clearly, click, 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 and I can take that now and so do individual stuff with it. So if I want to add an effect such as, let's say, let's change the pitch. We want it to sound almost like chipmunky. So at the moment it's going from an F tone to an F tone. It's going up no semitones. I want to take it up one from an F to an F sharp or G flat. And let's see what that sounds like. Click, 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 click. So it's slightly higher pitched. We can do the same again and change that pitch again. And maybe take it up, quite a few, maybe do an A. It's going to sound a bit more chipmunky now. You watch. Click, 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 click. So this allows you to then go from what is regular voice into some of those chipmunky kind of effects, or we call the race jockey effect. Sounds like a caricature of a racehorse rider or jockey. So now we've got our clicks in there. I'm going to take that back because I don't actually want them to sound like that at all. Click, 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 click. That's to make those sound. So what I want to now do is maybe I want to take this all and make the voiceover a little higher than what it is now. So, but I don't want to make it go faster and I don't want to make it go slower. I just want to change that pitch. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. So there we go. I've got that there. Now what I'm going to do is go back into my pitch. I'm going to take that pitch from a G to a B. That's quite a drastic one. So it's currently sitting on a G. So it's not going anywhere. But what I want to do is just take it down maybe a little bit deeper. So take it from a G to an F. So it's a full 2 semitones, so 2 half steps. We can preview it. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. So now you've heard that. That sounds significantly different. It sounds like a deeper voice, but not quite right. If I took it down any further, say to an E, it's going to sound even deeper. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. So that's a very, very deep male voice. So just going down a couple of semitones makes a big difference. If I take this down to a middle C, then it's really different. So it's not even really understandable. It's quite ridiculous. It sounds more like, a bad demon in a really B-grade science fiction movie. So what we're going to do is take that and make it realistic less. So hi, my name's Dante St. James. So that's really thick sounding. It's taken my voice and made it really thick. So if I just go from a G to an F. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. That sounds realistic now. So I can do that now, compare that with my normal voice and make those sounds because I want to, and then compare that with, hi, my name's Dante St. James. And this is how a lot of voiceovers can sound very different in television and radio. So you can have a bit of a play with how they sound and how they work. And so work with, different kinds of pitches. Now, one thing you can also do, if I wanted to slow that down a bit, I can take the effects and then change the speed. So changing the speed means at the moment it's at 1. So I'm going to take it down just slightly slower to see what that sounds like. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. So not significant, right? If I take it down a bit more. Hi, my name's Dante St. James. So notice how it took the pitch and it also took the speed. So the speed change, it affects both the tempo and the pitch. So how fast it goes. I don't want to do that. I don't want to change the pitch. I'm happy with the pitch. What I want to do is change just the tempo. So in the effect, I'm going to go change tempo. So I want to take it down from the current beats per minute, which is a length of 1.91. I want to slow it down to 2.91 seconds. So we're pretty much doubling the length of this. Let's have a listen.
Hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to...
So because we're taking it down such a dramatic amount, it's going to really sound crappy. This is going to sound terrible. But if I took it from 1.91 down to maybe 1.89, it's not a huge amount of difference.
Hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to...
So it still sounds legible. It's a bit slower. So if I needed to fill more space without it getting very strongly distorted and making it unlistenable. So if I got all that.
Hi, my name's Dante St. James. I'm going to...
So it's very, very different to my normal voice and would offer me the ability to be able to offer not just my normal voice, but also a voice that's slightly pitched down or slightly pitched up. Now, you don't want to necessarily be sounding like a child or like a chipmunk. You want to be able to sound like a human being in all these things. Now, what I'm going to do is over on our clicks that we were looking at before, we're going to go in and add a little bit more other stuff like echo to it. So there's echo that you can have a delay time and a preview that.
Click, 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 click.
So that didn't really do much, did it? So if I want to look at the delay time as being 1.5 seconds.
Click, 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 click.
Not really that much different either. Echo is better handled in areas like reverb. So instead of going to echo, I like to go into reverb, which is down in amongst all these guys here. Reverb, which is what we were looking at before, making the room a bit of a size, preview it.
Click, 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 click.
So now we're starting to add a little bit more space to it. So let's add even more space to it.
Click, 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 click.
So now you're starting to get that sort of echo in the room. So it's like a room echo rather than a long echo that goes out a long way. We can play around with a lot of these different settings, but what the two that are going to have the biggest effect are the stereo width and the room size. So let's try this again with stereo width down to nothing.
Click, 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 click.
So it's very, very, the echo doesn't last long. It's like you're in a very small environment, even though the room size is 55.
Click, 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 click.
So that lasts a little bit longer. That sounds like you're in a much larger chamber. But if I was to add 100% stereo width and 100% room width.
Click, 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 click.
It's actually creating really that you're in quite a large room that's got quite a lot of echo in it. So you might be in something like a tunnel. That could be that kind of thing. Then you can add a lot more other things. You can make it like a wet gain, which sounds like, so that sounds like it's an echo from someone else down the other end of a tunnel. And the wet gain is like when it's very far, where the dry gain is very close to you. So canceling that out, there's a whole lot of other different things we can play with in here in terms of effects and the editing. What I might actually want to do is have a listen to some of this and see what I would change. And make those sounds because I want to remove them and take them out of here as an example. So there's no really mistakes I made, but if I record a new session in there, and let's just say I make some mistakes. Hi, my name's Dante St. James, and I tend to make lots of mistakes that I regret later on because, well, I don't really like them. So what I'm trying to do in there is demonstrate where I want to actually remove some of those ums and ahs from there. So if I play that back, we can hear. Hi, my name's Dante St. James, and I tend. So I can see that there. What I might want to do is remove that out. So I'll make it so take that out. And let's see what that sounds like now. Hi, my name's Dante St. James, and I tend to make so. Yeah, so that one completely removed it. It sounded natural without sort of removed a whole word out there, but it didn't sound even forced. And I tend to make lots of So that I'm starting to see this showing up a fair bit. That's the that's the shape there. So I'm going to take that out again. Let's see what it plays like. So lots of mistakes. So So I want to take the and the R out of there and go straight to the word mistakes. Let's see what that sounds like. I tend to make lots of mistakes that I regret. There you go. There's a lead. And I tend to make lots. So I'm gonna go in a little bit closer there and have a bit of a play with it. So I've got this little sound in here. So what's this sound? There we go, the end of that sound.
Lots of mistakes.
That's like this whole bit here is like just a filler.
So
before I say lots of, which is just at the start here.
Lots of mistakes.
So if what I've said before was, so make, and then I want to go to lots. So let's see what this sounds like if I break that up.
Tend to make lots of mistakes that I regret later on because.
So now I've got something that sounds fairly natural.
You make lots of mistakes that I regret later on. I tend to make lots of mistakes that I regret later on.
So that sounds like it's now meant to be there and it fits. So if I look at any of these others, I remember what the sound like. So I can probably even spot the let's see, is it around here?
Because, well,
so there's the because, well, so the well, I can come out because they're pretty bad. And so let's see what it sounds like up to the end now.
Later on, because don't really like them.
So we're missing the I in there. So what I can do, I can open up a new track, and this is where we start to use what the power of using most other tracks are like. In this new track, I'm going to do the I
don't really like them.
So I want to have I don't really like them. I'm going to record into this track.
That I regret later.
Now that's just recording what's in there. So I'm going to mute that out. So this is one of the features you can do when you're recording. Mute that out and it won't play that back now. It'll just record what's in here. So I want to record the words, I really don't like them. I really don't like them. And so I'll play that back.
I really don't like them.
So I can now take that piece of audio, highlight it, copy it, Control C or Command C, and go into this other track, which is now muted. I'll mute this one out because I don't want to play it. And there's the words.
Because don't really
like them. I'm going to replace with I don't really like them.
Because I really don't like them.
There we go. So now we've created a cohesive sentence that now actually works. So let's expand that a little bit and have a listen, see how it all turns out with those ums and ahs all removed and replacing a little piece of audio where we needed to.
My name's Dante St. James, and I tend to make lots of mistakes that I regret later on because I really don't like them.
So that one is now a cohesive sentence. It doesn't sound unnatural, but it's removed like 4 different ums and and some words that really didn't make sense at all. So we've got a much more cohesive and usable piece of audio now that can go into something like a social media video. I wanted to do a social media video that had some instructions. Let's just say let's take that one out and start a new one. The key to social media success is making sure that you've planned ahead and know who your audience is. The message you're going to give that audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach. So if I want to use that as a voiceover for a particular social media video, some of the things I might want to do is cut off the start and the end just to make sure it fits into 15 seconds, which is how long ads generally are on social media. And I can listen back.
The key to social media success is making sure that you've planned ahead and know who your audience is. The message you're going to give that audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So that to me sounds like the voiceover is just right. And let's say I've got that. Now I want to add in some music that's going to match that. So let's go find some music online that we're going to use. So I'm going to use, let's just say background music. You're going to search for some on Google. Now, this is not necessarily what you want to do is use royalty-free music. You want to use stuff that you've actually got a subscription to. Now, I've actually got a subscription to stuff. I'm going to play a little bit of this background music on YouTube, and I'm going to record that in. So what I want to do to get that music in is take that back to the beginning, and I'm going to play that and record it into my Audacity. So let's go to Audacity. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen because I'm actually probably just not sharing the whole screen. Let me just share that all out so we can see the right stuff. In here, share my screen. I'll share the whole screen on desktop 1. There we go. Now we can see everything. So we can see there. Now I want to go to my, get out of the way, Zoom. Back to my YouTube video. So I've got that YouTube video. I want to use 15 seconds of that. What I can do is record that straight into Audacity. So I'm going to create a new track in Audacity. So let's pick that up and go in here, mute out the one I'm not working with now and create a new one. So tracks, add new. I'm going to add a stereo track, that'll work. And I'm going to start recording now, and then I'm going to put that into picking up what the sound is from my microphone. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to record. So now that I've got that, it's still recording in the background in Audacity. So I'll go back to my Audacity screen, and I'm going to cancel that recording. So now let's see what we've got to work with. Now it's added it on as an extra bit here. So let's look at this. I've muted that out, so I won't. Got that. It's still recording in the background in Audacity. So it's actually recorded that through the microphones. I want to get rid of that. And it's actually completely skipped over the thing I want to skip because I haven't set up a right plugins to allow that to happen. So what I want to do is make sure that I can get this microphone to record the right thing. I've muted out that track. What I want to do is record into this track here. So what I can do is open up a brand new session. So it's going to open up a brand new window for me, and I'm going to start recording through my microphone, and let's play it again. All right, let's see what that picked us up on Audacity, because sometimes my screen, my filter actually filters out that because it's not filtered, it's only picking up my voice. So what I need to do there is turn off my crisp microphone and use a normal microphone. So let's get that one out and record again, but then we're going to change that from crisp microphone to the actual microphone. Let's see what it can record now and the quality it can do. So now I've got that recorded. Let's see what Audacity is doing. It sounds like it's much more successful. Look at that. I've got definitely sound in there. So it's been filtered through my my microphone. So it's a little bit, not the best quality sound it's ever going to be, but let's just cut that down, edit it down to about the 15-second mark. So that goes down to just before it kicks into the really nice bit of the song, which is, so about there. We're going to cut it off at 15 seconds. And I'm going to take now all of this and create it in a track in my other session. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to pop into my other session window, go back to other Audacity. Here it is. So I've now got all this
Really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So I want to take out that little bit there that isn't relevant to the track. So I've got a good 13 seconds there. I'm going to take this one in here, create a new track, make it a mono because I only recorded in mono. And then I'm going to copy in that music here. So now you can see I've got two tracks. They're going to play at the same time. Let's see what they sound like without any sort of fiddling.
The key to social media success is making sure that you've planned ahead and know who your audience is. The message you're going to give that audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So now I've created something which is going to be working a lot harder for me. Now, when that coming through Zoom, that's probably going to sound a little bit different because at the moment I've got it set to the crisp microphone, but I change over to full microphone, you're going to hear the full sound and what that's going to hear like. So let's have a listen to what it's like without any sort of filtering through the crisp microphone.
The key to social media success is making sure that you've planned ahead and know who your audience is. The message you're going to give that audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So that sounds really good. It's sounding a lot more clear than what it was before. But the problem is now that I've got this really awkward ending here. So as I reach the end of the voice, which is,
the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So what I want to do is actually sort of round off this sound, this music in the background, so that it sort of starts fading out when it gets to the last couple of seconds. So about 11 seconds in, I want it to sort of start fading out the music so it doesn't sound so sudden. And to do that, I highlight it and then I go to my effects and I use the fade out. So the fade out will show me that it's actually fading that right out nice and evenly. Let's say,
you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
so it's a lot more of a smooth fade out to the end. Now, I even might take that a little bit further and say, I want it to end right when the voice ends. So I might want to take that fade out back to about that 11 seconds again and refade it out. So now that it fades out at a more appropriate time to work for the rest of the video. So if I pop up to there, my effects, go to the fade out again, and now you see it fades out right to the end of the text. So let's listen to what that sounds like in the second half.
Is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So now it sounds a lot less sudden and a lot less scary when it comes out, because you want it to sound like that is meant to be there. It doesn't feel like it's a fail out or it hasn't been synced up. And it's at, roughly that 13 seconds. Now, if I go, well, I actually really need this to go to 15 seconds. I need another couple of extra seconds out of this. There's two ways you can do this. You can either take the whole thing and slow it down. So remember we did that before, the effect of slowing down. So I want to change the tempo. I want to change the tempo without changing the pitch. And what I want it to do is go from 12.73 seconds to 15 seconds exactly. So let's see what that sounds like. It may stretch out and feel really weird. I'm going to just mute out the music track and see what that sounds like.
Your audience is. The message you're going to give that audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So there's a little bit of fluttering in there because I'm taking a very short piece of audio and trying to stretch it out quite significant. So it's only 13 seconds and I want to add another 2 seconds. That's a significant amount of difference. It's still usable though. The problem is now that my music doesn't match. It fades out too soon. It fades out at
audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So I can actually take the music and do the exact same thing, but this is going to sound even a little bit weirder. Let's take that and change the tempo and slow it down to exactly 15 seconds, from 12.87 to 15. So I've stretched it out. Let's see what that sounds like.
The message you're going to give that audience is only really valid if you know that the message is relevant to the people you're trying to reach.
So it actually doesn't sound too bad. It's definitely slowed down that whole piece of music. So now I've got a 15-second thing, which is ideal for something like a Facebook or Instagram ad, which is around about 15 seconds of video anyway. So I can take that audio now and import it into a video producing software that will allow me then to play with it even more and leave the audio alone, but then add the visuals in there to match that look and that feel that I've created with that very tropical music and the voiceover that's in there as well. So there's many, many different ways you can create different sound effects in here, but that's just a really basic look at how you may use Audacity to create stuff and then also use it to edit stuff, add effects, do some pitch changing, some time changing, and make it so that it's so much more usable for you in the formats you need. And then, you know what it does? It takes all the pressure off you having to get everything exactly right. I record a podcast episode each day. And at the moment I use Audacity and Adobe Audition to do that. And in amongst all that, I've set up my templates. But when I record things, I'm trying to do a little bit of ad-libbing around also doing all the of the recording of the exact script that I've written out. But when I do the ad-libbing, I might do an or an R, and I want to remove those. Or I might have some very juicy sounding breath that I'm taking that I really want to remove because it sounds really just not that great. So when I want to do those things, I need to make sure that I'm doing the right thing by the audio and by the audience and get that stuff out. So that's what you want to use things like Audacity or Adobe Audition, which works very, very similar to this, to remove those things that are very annoying about the way that people speak, the filler words, the ums, the ahs, the juiciness, the sounds of them clucking their tongues or clicking things like their tongue piercings against their teeth. All that kind of thing can make a really vast difference to how the quality of the audio is. And remember that quote I had before, which said essentially that when you're working with when you're working with audio and video, people are a lot more willing to forgive bad visuals than they are to forgive bad audio. So if I want to then share one final thought, I guess it's just that if you'd like to know more about this particular piece of software, or some of the things that work like it, like Adobe Audition, please do reach out. My email address is dante@treaty.com.au. I'm just about to share that on the screen for you, so you'll be able to see it. And you'll also be able to reach out through to the social media, because I actually probably easier to catch through social media than anything else these days. I'll just quickly present that, show you that on screen so you can actually see what the email address and how to see where I am on various social media. So you go dante@treaty.com.au, and you've got me on LinkedIn. Just search my name on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I've got a fairly unique name. There's one other person with my exact name who's in America, who's funnily enough, an audio producer and produces a lot of music. So he's probably a lot better at this stuff than I am. So don't go looking for him, go looking for me. Well, thank you for joining me, and thanks to Business Station, the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program, Treaty Business Consulting, and Regional Development Australia Brisbane for presenting this. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you do like it, give me a comment below on YouTube, or if you're watching it, and please do subscribe so you can get more of this content further down the track. Have a fantastic week. I know I will. So I'll catch you again soon.